Hey everybody. So I know it's been like forever since I've made a video or even done a blog post on my blog. February was just busy. We had a lot of sickness. So I just wanted to go through my February wrap up and let you guys know what I read. I'm not going to do a big old review on each book. Those will be on my blog later if you want full reviews, and I'll link to my blog. I don't have all of them up yet, but I will soon. Some of them aren't going to get full reviews. So we'll start with the first one for the month was Full Moons, Dunes, and Macaroons. So here I'm back in the world of Imogen with her baking friends in the palace, and her boyfriend, the prince, is about to get married. And Imogen is not handling the stress very well, and her brother happens to be Horace, the bad guy. He tries to convince her to leave, and she's torn because it's her brother, so she cares about him, of course. So she's not sure if what he's doing is really bad. I mean, the things are bad, but maybe his reasonings aren't bad, and she's just not sure what to do because her best friend gets a boyfriend and her prince has to marry somebody else. And it's really hard for her. And of course, in true Spells and Caramel series fashion, there's a murder. And now she finds herself trying to figure out who the murderer was. So just really cute story, really liked it. Really liked how all the relationships really came to shine during this story. And you can really see how much they've grown to care for each other, and I just really enjoyed that. So that was definitely this series is definitely one I highly recommend. And then the next book I read, I got from Charlene Nelson. She contacted me and asked if I would be willing to read a book that her publishing company published by Patricia Brown, if I would read it. And so she sent this to me along with a sequel, and I really enjoyed it. It was a little slow at first, but I had a lot of things going on. I was holding sick kids, and it was hard for me to really sit down and read, so that might have been part of it. But once I was able to really get into it, I really enjoyed it. It's about this elderly lady and her friends who are dealing with things like husbands with dementia or husbands who've passed away, grown-up children who aren't that near, grandchildren, and the relationships. There's a group of ladies and they have a little book club. So it kind of reminded me of me and my friends, what we will be like in our future. Just, they like to hang out, discuss books, make jokes, have fun. And in the midst of this, they realize that there's a lot of seniors dying, and nobody seems to think anything of it because, well, that's what old people do. But some of them seem a little questionable, and they're realizing that some of them have their animals die right there in their lap with them, and they're just not sure what's going on. They're starting to wonder if maybe there's more to it than just old age. So Eleanor and her friends trying to find if it's really a murder or not, and if it is, who's responsible for it. They kind of get themselves in some dangerous situations and have to try to find their way out. So definitely a book worth picking up. Was definitely a lot better than I expected it to be. It was really a good surprise, and I would recommend giving these books a chance. And after that, I read the sequel. I ended up finishing this in a day. So I really enjoyed this one even more than the first one. It was really same great style of writing. You definitely learn a lot more about Eleanor and her friends, and their past, and just there's a lot of little things that happen here. In this one, they find a trunk. They're helping a friend out who's moving, the son of somebody who's passed away. And in that trunk, they discover jewels hidden in it, and they find out that this was actually a jewel thief who never got caught, and who had like this double secret life, and they're trying to figure out, you know, what's going on. There's another murder, and just really interesting book. Really highly recommend it. The next one I read was Cinder and Ella by Kelly Oram. And this was the book of the month for my book club on Facebook. This is my fourth time reading this book. Really, really enjoyed it. The main character suffers a car accident. Ella is the main character, Ella Mara. And she suffers a car accident. She's a book blogger. And she had developed this friendship with this guy, Cinder. She didn't know who they didn't know who each other were. And in the midst of sending instant messages to each other, her mom's driving the car and they get into a massive car accident. Her mom dies. Ella is burned over a huge percentage of her body, and she spends months in the hospital and rehab, and suddenly she has to go back to live with her dad, who left her when she was a kid. Not just left her, but left her and started a whole new family. He got a new wife, he got 2 new kids, stepkids, and there's just a whole lot. I mean, Ella has to go through a lot. The stepkids have to go through a lot because their dad never told them about this other family that he had originally. So there's just a whole lot of growing that has to happen, and Ella is just such an amazing woman in the story, so strong, and she discovers who Cinder is, and then they have this relationship to work through, and to try to figure out what they can do when, you know, Ella's got a lot going on, a lot of hurt and pain that she has to work through, and it was really good, so I highly recommend it. So the one I read after that was the sequel, Happily Ever After, by Kelly Oram. And it is the story of Cinder and Ella. And I don't want to give too much away because then it gives away what happens in the first Cinder and Ella. So it's just a continuation. Was really good. This is my second time reading it. Once I read the first one, I had to reread the second one because it was too cute. And then the next one was actually a little short story that I found online connected to them by Kelly Oram still. And I will put the link to that down below so you can find it. But it was Say Car for Me. Elmira had a bit of an accent, so when she said car, it sounded like caw, you know. And her little guy friend on the internet always made fun of her about that. And when they meet, that becomes a line that's used so that they realize who each other is. They didn't know who they were at first. They didn't know who they were talking to. And that, anyways, so this little short story online is his point of view, because the book tells about this meeting from Ella's point of view. And it was really cool to see Cinder's point of view. So I will make sure to link that. The next one I read was Upsided by Jennifer Armentrout. I love the Lux series. I've read it before, but I had to reread it, which is why these probably won't get full reviews on my website because I've already read them, and I know I read them before my blog, but she is a book blogger, the main character, and she moves to this new city not really shortly, but after her dad dies. Her and her mom move here. Her mom's a nurse, and she's just this average teen, doesn't really ever do anything wrong, and she moves in to this quiet, low population town and has these really weird neighbors that she's got to kind of figure out. And she's got this like love-hate relationship going on with the boy, and I'm sure you know where that's all gonna go. Are they gonna fall for each other or not? And so just really cute. Really, really liked it. Obviously I've read it before, so I'm reading it again because I just love them. And in January, I had a lot of reviews, a lot of books that I was asked to review, which I am honored to do. So it is not a complaint at all, but I didn't really get to choose any of my books in January, and I can't say that I actually liked any of the books I had to review in January. And so these were just kind of me. I needed to read for me. And so I read book number 2 in the Lux series, Onyx. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, I butchered it. But it's book number 2. It's about the same people, obviously. And just, oh, I forgot. These two just make me so angry through book 2. Like, they're fighting with each other, and it's just so frustrating, and I forgot how frustrated I got. So, yeah, definitely worth checking out the Lux series if you've not read that yet. And oops, I don't need that. And I decided to read it because of The Darkest Star coming out, and I think her next one's going to be out soon-ish. And I decided that before I moved on to The Darkest Star, I wanted to reread the Lux series, even though it's not necessary at all. You can read the Darkest Star without having read the Lux series. But I just wanted to hop back in there, and I just needed to do that for myself. And then I did an audiobook. The author of the Spells and Caramel series just came out with the audiobook for book 1, and she wanted some review listeners. She wanted listeners to read it and give them her thoughts, give her feedback, so that she knows how to move forward with the rest of them. So I was given book number 1 to read, and I already knew the story because I've already read book number 1. So I can already say great things about the story, and I will also say that the audio was very well done. The reader is her sister or her sister-in-law, I can't remember, and she does a great job. She changes her voice for all the characters, and she's got this nice speed. A lot of times with audiobooks, I feel they're a little too slow, and I have to like increase the speed, and then that always messes up the voice. So I don't like that. I didn't have to do that with this one. She had a great speed. I love the way that she did the voices. It was just really well done. So I highly recommend it. The last book I read was Legends of Eve. I actually read this on my Kindle, and I used the voice reader, the accessibility tool on there, so read it in like its monotone. But I've already read this before, but I wanted to reread it because it was the book of the month for my book club. We had 2 in February, the shortest month, and I decided to do 2 for that month. And I just wanted to have kind of a refresher, but it was running out of time, so I put it on my audiobook, and I put it on the reader, and I sped up the tempo because I didn't have a lot of time to read it before the book club meeting. So it was kind of funny. But it worked, and I was able to read it, and remind myself of some key moments on there. And yeah, so I do have a full review of this already on my blog, and I have another video with my full review and my thoughts on it, and I will link them down below so that you can check that out. Legends of Eve, I cannot say enough good things about Legends of Eve. The author is amazing. I know we don't know who the author is, but my communication with him when he first asked me to read the Ark was awesome. And there was one other book that I read this month. It was a beta read. It was the first time ever that I've beta read, which means the author contacted me and asked me to read her story before she even sends it to publishing. She sent it to me, and then I had to fill out like 60 huge questions. But it was so amazing. I was so nervous because like I said, I've never done a beta read before. And I knew that this was more than just a quick review on what I felt about the book. She wanted real criticism back on the book, and I've never done that before. And I was honored that she would even ask me to do it, because I just think that's an amazing honor. So I can't record that book yet. So I have one more book that I read this month that I can't record. But that's okay. When it comes out, I will let you guys know what it was that I read, because that one you will want to read for sure. So I think that wraps up my February. Let me know, did you guys read any of the same books that I did? What did you read this month? Let me know down below. If you have your own wrap-up video, please link it down below so I can go check it out, and my other followers can go check it out. Have a great evening, great day, whatever it happens to be. Bye.